Coming up now on your local news, numerous suspicious fires set in Brawley as people there are still recovering from a string of blazes on Main Street. And
there was some laughter and also some tears here at the George W. Bush Presidential Library. I'm Brandy Hitt in Dallas with a ceremony involving all 5 living presidents.
Plus, you won't believe how much money some folks are willing to fork over for a seat at the Jody area's trial. ABC5 News starts now.
From Yuma and San Luis to El Centro and the Imperial Valley, this is ABC5 News.
Hello and good evening. Thank you so much for joining us for your local news on ABC5. I'm Anna Hayes. People in Brawley are still trying to pick up the pieces from a string of fires on Main Street, and they got quite a surprise last night. Several blazes erupted in Brawley just 1 week after police arrested 14 suspected of arson. Your local news reporter Patrick Hayes has been following this story and has more from Brawley now. Patrick?
And I'm standing in front of one of the houses that experienced a fire yesterday here in Brawley.
Okay, within the last 2 days, our department has responded to a number of rubbish fires.
It feels like deja vu. Last night in Brawley, more fires. This time in dumpsters, vacant fields, and abandoned backyards. Flora Martinez and her daughter lived next door to where one of these blazes burned.
Big old flame of fire. Everybody went running to put the fire out.
The kids were still at school, and there was fire right here on the side of our house.
These fires happen sporadically and in different parts of town.
They occurred somewhere during the daytime and somewhere at night, yes.
Flora says it was her and other neighbors that put one fire out.
By the time the fire department got here, it was already smoldering. So everybody came together and pretty much put it out before they got here.
Yeah, my mom did, and a couple neighbors here helped take out the fire.
But are these fires connected?
We're handling them as separate incidents right now, and we hand them over to the police department and see what they're going to do with the investigation on that end.
And as for the people who live in Brawley?
Being mindful of their surroundings of their property and make sure the rubbish and certain debris and vegetation is cleaned up.
No word yet on how this ties in, or if it ties in at all, to the previous fires set on Main Street. Reporting for your local news, I'm Patrick Hayes.
Well, millions of dollars has been approved to create more learning spaces at Arizona Western College, despite the district not receiving money from the state in years to do so. The Arizona Western College District Governing Board voted this month to approve $5 million for one-time capital projects. The college district hasn't received capital dollars from the Grand Canyon State since the 2007-2008 school year. At this month's meeting, several possible projects were brought up, including revamping the welding department and considering redoing the San Luis campus. Money is coming from an undesignated fund balance. All projects will have to be approved by the board first. And the George W. Bush Presidential Library was dedicated in Dallas today at a ceremony attended by all 5 living presidents. ABC's Brandy Hitt has more.
In front of a crowd of 10,000 people, former President George W. Bush celebrated the dedication of his presidential library and museum at Texas's SMU campus.
And today I'm proud to dedicate this center to the American people.
With all 5 living presidents present, Bush's father, George H.W. Bush, stood in this heartfelt moment for the cheering crowd. And President Obama thanked his predecessor.
For your love of country, thank you very much.
The $250 million center looks back at President Bush's life and career, including the tumultuous times from 9/11 to the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. He spoke earlier about that with ABC's Diane Sawyer.
I did what I did, and historians will ultimately judge those decisions.
In fact, the 2-term president wants museum goers to face the same tough and controversial choices he had to make through interactive exhibits with deadlines and ticking clocks. President Bush says his work to improve public education and expand world freedom will continue through this center in Dallas. So will his new love of painting, which Bill Clinton said he admired.
Those bathroom sketches are wonderful, but at my age, I think I should keep my suit.
But even amid the laughs, there were also tears as the 43rd president told the world it was an honor to lead the United States.
Whatever challenges come before us, I will always believe our nation's best days lie ahead. God bless.
That was a touching moment for many in the crowd. The celebrations continue this evening with the library opening May 1st. Randy Hitt, ABC News, Dallas.
Looks like a great celebration. Well, let's get a live look outside with our ABC5 tower cam. Another warm day, though summer temperatures are coming and we can't stop it. Great shot outside with the weekend quickly approaching. I'm wondering if we can expect a cool down or the temps going to keep going up. Here's Jorge Torres now with a quick look at our local weather forecast.
Good evening, Anna. It was a breezy to windy day across parts of the Yuma and Imperial Valleys, especially out towards El Centro, where this morning it got down to about 62 degrees, 61 Imperial, 60 up in Blythe, and right here in Yuma we got down to about 62 degrees. So a mild start to the morning, but it will be clear tonight. The breezes will continue, especially out west towards the Imperial Valley, and we'll talk about a warm-up that we're anticipating for the upcoming weekend and for the early part of next week coming up in your local forecast. Back to you, Anna.
Thanks, Jorge. Well, another night of smooth jazz at the Yuma Palms Mall. It's the last night of the Village Jazz Series for this year. They're going out on a high note. Your local news reporter, Mauricio Marin, is live out there right now enjoying all the music. Mauricio, how's it going?
Hey Anna Hayes, good evening. Another beautiful evening here at the Yuma Palms Mall, enjoying the last concert of the season here. You can see behind me the great music. This time we've got more local talent. You see right here we've got the Yuma Jazz Company and friends playing right here. They've got all sorts of different artists coming out to kind of go out with a big hoorah right here. And it's really some good music. Again, if you haven't checked it out, come on down. You've got until 8 o'clock tonight to check out all the fun right here. It really is something. Now, like I said, they've got plenty of guest artists here, surprise artists that they're introducing down here. So come on down, check it all out. Also tonight during intermission, they'll be awarding a $500 scholarship along with Yuma Palms to a student today. That's really something here. But if you haven't checked it out, you might notice that it's in a different situation here. Before, they've kind of played at the lawn in front of the Harkins Theater right there. They've kind of moved it over to the parking lot here to enjoy the music because they believe they were may be interfering with some of the sales at the theaters because of the high amount of music. So organizers are asking you to send an email to denard@inlandgroup.com voicing to see if you love the Jazz Company so that it can continue. They're not sure if they'll be able to come back next year to put on all the free concerts for people here. So if you enjoy it, once again, the email is denard@inlandgroup.com to be able to voice your opinion whether you want them to come back again next year. They've been doing this for 7 years, putting on free concerts, jazz concerts, getting local, regional, and nationwide artists to enjoy this music. So be sure to do that if you believe in them. But like I'm saying, another beautiful night here. For another couple hours, they'll be out here till 8 o'clock tonight. So come on down, bring a chair, and enjoy the evening. Reporting live from the Yuma Palms Mall, I'm Mauricio Marin, and I'll send it back to you.
Thanks, Mauricio. Looks like an absolutely gorgeous night for a little music. Some employees of a local business here in Yuma got to work this morning and found dozens of bras. Yes, I said bras, hanging around their building, but don't worry because it was done for a good cause. Avanti Skin Center here in Yuma was strapped by some of the Relay for Life members in preparation for this weekend's event. The nearly 50 bras moved from business to business to bring awareness and to help raise funds for the yearly event.
Our building was covered with these bras all strapped together, and there was a ransom note from the Relay for Life folks explaining that we could pass on this grand gesture.
You just heard from Ginny Bush, who did tell us who is getting strapped next week, but we promised we'd keep the secret. Relay for Life is Saturday from 7 p.m. until 8:30, Sunday morning at the Yuma Civic Center. One team captain tells your local news in HD that people are welcome to come and support. There will be booths selling food and other fundraising gifts, and all proceeds will go to the American Cancer Society. Please look at what's coming up on your local news. The mother of the Boston bombing suspects is speaking out, and just how much one woman sold her seat to the Jodi Arias trial for. You're watching ABC5 News. Stay with us. Thanks for coming back with us. A two-car collision sends a car flying into a field, and your local news was the first on the scene of the accident. It happened at 3E and County 13th around 10:30 this morning. Leanne Worthen with Yuma Police tells your local news that a 38-year-old woman rear-ended a red Jeep Liberty driven by a 37-year-old woman. The collision sent both cars flying. The car that did the rear-ending landed in a field. In that vehicle, a 3-year-old boy who was fortunately strapped into his car seat. Both drivers were sent to Yuma Regional Medical Center with non-life-threatening injuries, and the little boy is doing just fine. Chilling new information has emerged that the suspected Boston Marathon bombers had planned to continue their reign of terror in New York City. Today, investigators said the suspects were heading there next. And on Capitol Hill, tough questions for the White House and FBI on whether they overlooked warning signs. ABC's Taman Bradley has the very latest.
It appears Boston was just the beginning. Authorities now say Johar and Tamerlan Tsarnaev had their sights set on New York City. Mayor Michael Bloomberg says Johar had visited Times Square several times and believes he was planning to set off bombs there.
New York City remains a prime target for those who hate America and want to kill Americans.
Investigators say Johar originally said that he and his older brother planned to go to New York City to party, but then changed his story.
The two brothers had at their disposal 6 improvised explosive devices. One was a pressure cooker bomb, similar to the 2 that had exploded at the marathon. The other 5 were pipe bombs.
Their plan went off track, authorities say, when the owner of the vehicle they carjacked managed to escape. This morning, the FBI searched a landfill in New Bedford, Massachusetts, looking for discarded packaging or homemade bombs the suspects may have used for practice. A stash of fireworks was discovered yesterday in Watertown, and officials believe Tamerlan planned to use the gunpowder from them to make explosives. As new details emerge, some members of Congress are frustrated that the FBI and CIA were warned by the Russians 2 years ago about Tamerlan becoming an Islamic radical.
Boston is becoming, to me, a case study in system failure.
Johar's parents could arrive in the U.S. any day now. During a press conference in Russia, his mother said she can't believe Tamerlan would carry out a terror plot.
He was really nice and very, he never rejected anyone Americans just because they are Americans.
Authorities tell ABC News Johar stopped cooperating with interrogators after he was read his Miranda rights on Monday. Taman Bradley, ABC News, Washington.
And here in Arizona, the Jodi Arias trial continues. The accused killer wept in court today as jurors looked at autopsy photos of her dead ex-boyfriend. Arias is accused of killing Travis Alexander in 2008. The prosecution called back the medical examiner who performed Alexander's autopsy. Arias claims Alexander physically abused her and she killed him in self-defense, and she faces a possible death sentence if convicted of first-degree murder. And you can see that's a pretty small courtroom. Lots of people want to get in there. That might be why we're seeing people actually buying seats. One woman who goes to the murder trial twice a week sold her seat she usually sits in to a woman visiting from Michigan for $200. A woman who sold her seat ended up having to give the cash back after getting in a little trouble with the court. Let's do some comparison here. $200 offered to see the trial. Meanwhile, ASU football season tickets start at $120, and you could go to a Diamondbacks game for $11. And good news if you are still going through Twinkie withdrawal, they could be back on store shelves as soon as July. The new owners of Hostess are reopening bakeries in Georgia, Kansas, Illinois, and Indiana. They also plan to hire at least 1,500 workers who will likely all be non-union. Hostess shut down last year after a labor union dispute. The plant in Columbus, Georgia will be the first to reopen, and hiring is set to begin this summer. Good news there. And coming up on ABC5 News, why proms are becoming the new weddings for some families. Stay with us.
You're watching your local news on ABC5 with Anna Hayes and meteorologist Jorge Torres.
Well, thanks for coming back with us on this beautiful Thursday evening. Another live look with our ABC5 tower camera over 4th Avenue. Time to check back in now with Jorge Torres. He's got a complete look at our local weather forecast. Jorge?
Welcome back, everybody. It was a sunny but breezy to windy day across the region thanks to that cold front that we talked about that arrived in the early morning hours. Now, that cold front is already making its way towards New Mexico and western portions of Texas, a very fast-moving storm. That's where the winds haven't really died down that much. But it will be clear tonight. Good news if you want to see the full moon. How does it look as far as what's going on over the next 24 hours? Where Future Track is not really showing much activity. Again, all the showers and cloud cover will be off the coastline and also out towards Colorado and northern portions of New Mexico through tomorrow. Temperatures, though, will be a different story. It will be much cooler because of the cold air that arrived again earlier this morning. By 10 o'clock tonight, we'll be down to right around 73. And then for the early morning hours on your Friday, notice how we dip down into the lower 60s here in Yuma, outlying areas possibly in the mid and upper 50s. And then for the rest of your Friday, we do expect temperatures to slowly warm up right around 90 to 91 degrees, and the warming trend does continue for your upcoming weekend. So here is your local forecast for tonight. Out in the foothills, 63 in Welton, 60 in Quartzsite, and Blythe, 62 with a high tomorrow of 89 degrees. Again, we'll be a few degrees cooler in some spots. 65 in San Luis, 62 in Mexicali, and Calexico, 60 and breezy tonight with a high tomorrow of 90. Let's head out towards the Salton Sea. Tonight, 56 in Salton City, 58 in Brawley, and Imperial 59 with some breezes during the overnight hours and warming up to 90 tomorrow. Your local forecast for Yuma calling for a low of 64, winds from the southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow climbing back up to about 90 degrees with winds to the southwest at 5 to 15. And in El Centro, tonight your low 60 degrees, still dealing with those breezes and warming up tomorrow to 89 degrees. And your 7-day forecast showing temperatures climbing quite a bit beginning next week, though. Cooling down to the 80s gradually on Saturday, but back in the mid and upper 90s for Sunday, Monday, and look at that, Tuesday. We could be close to 100 degrees. So, again, just some breezes tonight, but should be pleasant for the next several days of weather. Back to you, Anna.
Warmer temperatures means school's about to end and prom season is upon us. A new survey finds on average families expect to spend $1,139 on prom this year. That's up about 40% from 2 years ago, but only a slight increase from last year. Now, families in the Northeast pay the most for prom. Midwestern families pay the least. Now, this survey talked to more than 1,000 parents of prom-aged teens. It also found parents will foot about 60% of the prom bill, and teens will cover about 40%. And coming up on ABC5 News, if you live in California, you could be paying more for your favorite soda. But first, it's an exciting night of all your favorite shows on ABC5. Here's a look at what's coming up. Well, have you ever asked yourself how you start running if you've been a little bit of a couch potato? One trainer has advice for you on how to stay injury-free during the process. Here's Holly Furfer with today's Health Minute.
Douglas Mogul is new to running, but he's decided to do a 5K race. Learning to run actually starts with a lot of walking. Trainer April Berkey says you walk a little, then jog a little.
3 days a week, and especially to start, maybe 15-20 minutes a day. Of a walk-run combo.
Mogul doesn't really like to run, but he's committed.
It's still something that I find to be a little bit boring. Headphones help, or running with a partner helps a lot.
Berkey says new runners also need a running plan. Go online and search for Beginning 5K Training Program. This tells you how often and how long to walk and jog each week.
It's going to help prevent injury, make sure you're not doing too much.
Because working out too hard and too fast is one of the biggest mistakes new runners make. You also need a good pair of running shoes, and if you can spring for it, a heart rate monitor. It's tough on the body to always run on hard streets or sidewalks, so find softer surfaces when you can. Give yourself a couple of months to train and get to the point where you run during your whole workout. For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
Well, a sugary debate is brewing in California. Many are asking, should the state play a role in preventing obesity? According to the LA Times, the Democratic State Senator Bill Monning has introduced legislation that would create a 1 cent per ounce tax on sweetened beverages like soda. The point of the tax is to prevent obesity among the state's youth. Those in favor of the bill say the money collected would pay for a statewide childhood obesity prevention program.
This bill will impose a 1 cent per fluid ounce tax on sugar-sweetened beverages. It's an excise tax, so the manufacturer would pay it. We expect it would be passed on to the consumer. That's one of the goals, because if you raise the price to be equivalent to healthful drinks, you'll reduce consumption, similar to a tobacco tax.
You may remember back in March, a judge blocked New York City's ban on supersized sodas. That city also was trying to prevent obesity. And tired of striking out at the singles bars? Then you might want to try a Virgin America flight. The airline has launched a new service that allows passengers to send a drink to someone on the plane who may have caught their eye. It's done through the airline's in-flight entertainment system. Passengers pinpoint their designated hottie with Virgin's digital seat map, browse on the menu, and send them a drink or a snack or a meal. You can even follow up that with a text through a seat-to-seat messaging system. Interesting. There's still lots ahead on your local news. An Arizona family loses their pet, and you won't believe where he turned up 10 months later. Story and more coming up. Welcome back. Well, we all know that saying that cats have 9 lives, but you could say this cat we're about to show you has a little bit more than that. You can see in this incredible story, some call it a miracle. A family in Tucson thought they'd never see their cat again. He went missing more than 10 months ago, but on Monday they got the surprise of a lifetime. The Humane Society in Wisconsin called them, telling them their cat had shown up 2,000 miles away. Ace, the 10-year-old Siamese cat, managed to make it from Arizona to Wisconsin, but no one is quite sure how he did it. His owners are going to go pick him up. Now, he was checked out by a veterinarian and given a clean bill of health. The 10-year-old cat actually gained a pound during his time away, so he was doing okay for himself. That's our show for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. Remember, you can catch the later edition of ABC5 News at 10. Everyone, have a great night.